All right, it's been a full 2 weeks since I did the unboxing of the Scuf Vantage controller for PS4 exclusively from GameStop for you all. Today I'm coming back for a review. I've got a list of pros and cons, and at the end of this review, I'll tell you my findings of a dead zone test that I did at myself at home. Keep in mind that I am reviewing the wired version of this controller and not the wireless version. So let's go. Starting with the pros, the customization of the controller is unparalleled and very easy to do. You don't need any type of tools to do it. All you have to do is just pop off the faceplate, pull out your sticks, make your customizations, put the faceplate back, and you're ready to go. The grip on this controller is very nice. It feels like a gun grip more than just plastic bubbles that feel like they slip right out of your hands. So yeah, I like the grip a lot. The controller feels very solid and it doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like I'll just break it easily. The pads and the directional disc, they have a real nice crisp like snap to them when you touch them, and I like that. Some people don't, but I do. I like the way they make you feel more like a mouse click when you click them. The directional disc is a nice addition to come in a box with this controller, and it's very good for fighting games. The ability to keep your thumbs on the sticks at all times is the reason why you want to buy this controller. I can do everything that I need to do with my thumbs on the sticks. I don't have to move them over here. The value of the accessories included in the box, if you research this product, and I'm quite sure you have if you're watching this video, they've got thumbsticks you can order, these directional discs, trigger extensions, all kind of different colors and everything like that. And they included a lot of this stuff in the box for you. Now, it might not be the colors that you want, but they included it, and I think that's a great value. The trigger stop, ease of use. You don't need a tool for the trigger stops. All you need to do is turn them around with your fingers. If you are going to turn them around, I would recommend taking away the trigger extensions if you are using those. You don't need the tool, so that's very good. The 10-foot braided cable that they included with the controller is very sturdy. It doesn't seem like it'll fray easily, and it's long enough for most living rooms, I think. And the way that it connects to your controller, there's a very sturdy connection, and it won't come loose without a nice amount of force. The trigger extensions, in the unboxing video, I said I would not use those, but I have been using them for like the last week and a half, and I've grown to love them. The side access buttons and the placement of them, I feel like the side access buttons are in a good place for my fingers. I can keep my fingers on the trigger easily, not touching the side access buttons unless I deliberately touch them. So I think they're in a good place for me. If your fingers are a little bit bigger than mine, you may touch them accidentally a lot, but I think they did a good job at putting them in a nice place to try to keep them out of the way of your fingers. The vibration in the controller is in a nice medium. It's not too hard. I've had controllers with vibration that were third-party controllers, and vibration was way too strong. I don't play with vibration personally, but I tested it, and I think it's in a nice medium place. If you don't like the vibration, you can just take them out. But if you do take them out, make sure that when you put them back in, you snap them in securely, or they'll be wobbling around in your controller. The weight of the controller is just a little bit more than the weight of a standard PS4 controller. If you don't like the weight of it, you can remove the vibration modules and you have a much lighter controller. And finally, for my pros, the overall feel of the controller for me, it feels really nice. It's not too big. It's in a nice place. My thumbs are nice and I don't feel out of place with the controller. But I've played a lot of Xbox, so the controller feels all right for me. Now let's move on to the cons. This controller will take some getting used to, especially if you're coming from a standard PlayStation 4 controller. You've got all these extra buttons and these paddles, and all that stuff takes some getting used to. Not to mention the staggered sticks. When you're playing on PlayStation 4, your thumbs are here. When you're playing with this controller, your thumbs are a little bit different place, so that could take some getting used to. Adjusting the hair triggers that lay under the trigger extensions can be quite tricky. They do provide a tool to do it, and you need adequate lighting to do that. So keep that in mind if you do want to adjust your hair triggers, and make sure that you adjust it in game. I play Destiny 2. If you play Destiny 2, I would recommend adjusting the hair trigger with the fusion rifle, because fusion rifles fire a lot differently than standard rifles in the game. The light bar on the touchpad is way too dim. Let's move it down here. You see how dim it is? And then you have to get way close on it to even see it. I feel like that could be a little bit brighter. And this is at the brightest setting that the PlayStation 4 will allow. So that's probably just because of the material they use to make the touchpad, but that light bar could be a lot brighter. The share and option buttons are not mappable. I originally said they were in my unboxing video, but I was mistaken and they are not mappable. Accidentally muting the controller. If you've been paying attention to this video, I started and there was just a blue light down here. And then somewhere during the process, I muted the controller on accident. That happens all the time to me in game, and it's not a big issue, but I constantly find myself looking down, or my girl telling me, hey, you got your controller muted, and I said 5 minutes worth of conversation. I got to go back and say it all over again. That is annoying. This controller doesn't work with the PS4 camera. So you can use the camera and you can still hear your friends coming out of the TV, but they will not hear you through the microphone. So you will need a wired mic or a wireless headset for your microphone to work, but it will not work with the PlayStation 4 camera mic. Keep that in mind. Accessibility of custom parts and the controller from GameStop. My GameStop doesn't have any controllers. They don't have any of the custom accessories right now. So that's a problem. If I want it, I would have to travel way out of my area to go get it, and I'm not going to do that. Or I'd have to order it online, and I'm an instant gratification person, so I don't like waiting, and that's a problem. The ability to assign macros, for instance, super on Destiny is L1 and R1. Activate your super. I would like to be able to activate my super by just pressing one button. I cannot assign 2 buttons to 1 button. Keep that in mind. And finally, the price of the controller. $169.99 for a standard wired controller, and then $199.99 for the wireless controller, which doesn't seem to work at all right now. We're talking about over $200 period, 200 to over $200 period for this controller. And that's a pretty penny for the average person. I mean, I saved up and I got the controller because I wanted it. I'm happy that it works for me because a lot of people were saying that theirs are not working right. But the price can be a little bit pricey, especially if you're going to customize it, get extra sticks, different faceplates. You're even putting more money on the tab. So the price is something to keep in mind. And of course, you already know that because you're watching this video. Now, I did a dead zone test to the best of my ability. I don't have the technology to show you a side-by-side screenshot, but I'll show you what I found on this ruler. So if you look at that ruler right there, we are at 1 inch. To push the stick on your controller and make it go, you need to be, both controllers are in that margin. And that margin is how much you need to push. We're talking about a 1/16 of an inch, a little bit over a 1/16 of an inch that you need to be pushing your controller for both of these controllers. The PlayStation 4 standard is what I tested this against, and both of them were right there in that area. You don't need to go any further than that for either one. Now, I will say this. The standard controller was about right there. And I don't know if you can see that very well, but that's about a fingernail length that you need to push it in order for it to begin giving you some movement. And that was the PlayStation 4 standard controller. Now on the Scuf, we were about right there. Now that's not even the 30-second more. So the dead zone for this controller, it doesn't seem to be a big issue. I haven't had problems with it. I've been testing it vigorously in game since I've seen it, and I haven't had problems with it. So that's my review. That's my pros and cons. I give this controller an 8.5 out of 10 overall, with all the pros and cons that go with it. That's what I give it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It was informative for you. And if you did, please subscribe below. Peace.